Hello and welcome back to Single Sounds. I am your host, Katie Mack, and this is the only podcast that helps its listeners find dates. As it is the last week of March, I do an expert episode to help you on your dating journey. And this week, I'm really excited to be joined by Siobhan Copland, who is a matchmaking professional. She has her own business, Cupid in the City, which was launched in 2013. Siobhan and her team have successfully paired countless individuals. And I was really intrigued to interview Siobhan, as a professional matchmaking service is definitely something I've thought about if I finally give up on the search by myself. So I wanted to ask all the burning questions that hopefully you have too. And potentially you might decide that this could be an option for you now or in the future. In this interview, we explore the typical process of finding and introducing matches. What makes people compatible? How is compatibility truly assessed? Some of the really specific requirements that Siobhan has been asked to find. And we also get into the nitty-gritty of how much a service like this would cost. If you are interested in becoming a client of Cupid in the City and working with Siobhan and her team, you can find the website link in the show notes of this episode. Siobhan and her team have every right to choose who they work with, so this isn't a guarantee that you'll be accepted, but it's always worth an intro call if it's something that you might consider. Hi Siobhan, welcome to Single Sounds.
Hi Katie, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome, I'm glad you're here. So my first question for you is, what made you want to become a matchmaker?
Good question. It wasn't something that I had sort of dreamed of growing up, let's say, because I didn't know that it was even a thing, for one. I always knew that I wanted to have my own business. Mm-hmm. And I've always been very outgoing, sociable. So I kind of knew that dealing with people and socializing would be something that I would enjoy. And I think, like many people, I sort of ventured into different jobs, kind of fell into different jobs, was never quite fulfilled in those jobs. I was definitely a person who jumped. Yeah. After about a year, I'd be like, I'm bored now, what next? Yeah. So it was actually after a spontaneous decision to move to Dubai when I was 21. Coming back a few years later, I was approached by a comedian who asked me if I'd be looking for some work. That was being his assistant, helping him put on comedy nights as well as getting him bookings, which was really fun. And I felt that really suited me. But of course, it was a side hustle. It wasn't something that I could rely on, particularly because I'd just come back from a lovely tax-free lifestyle in Dubai. I was like, I need more than this. So I was doing that. Then I also took an office job as a sort of assistant office manager. And Kojo was a comedian. He noticed that at these events, we actually had, very similar to what you do in a way, we had a sort of a dating section as part of the comedy night.
Oh, cool.
So what we'd do is we'd pick one person who would then have to pick 3 people in the audience who they quite like the look of.
Oh, that's really fun.
Yeah.
Just blind, like, oh, they look quite nice.
Yeah, like just literally just point them out. So I'd go around and say, just show me who you like the look of. And then I would approach those 3 people. We'd bring them to the front of the stage. Fun. And then the audience would choose who we should send that person on a date with out of the 3. Yeah.
So they answered questions.
Yeah. So I kind of got involved in the dating game from that. And it was really fun. And then he said, why don't we take it a step further and actually put on a singles night, but do like a speed dating? Because speed dating was still quite new then. Yeah. That was in 2010. Okay. I was just like, sure, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. So that was where it started. And so the kind of... you
kind of fell into it, really.
Yeah, exactly. And then it just kind of evolved from there, from when I got made redundant from my day job. It was the directors of that company who said to me, don't go and find another job, go and do your business. And I said, what business? Because I didn't even, it didn't correlate. And they went, you've got a dating business, go and do that.
Yeah, okay.
And that gave me the push.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That's good. I feel like that's a lot of people's stories, that one door closes and it makes you open the next.
Yeah, absolutely.
So did you get trained as a professional matchmaker?
I didn't. What I did was I was collecting lots of data. So from doing these events, I'd make people fill in a form so I'd get as much information on them as possible. And I was sort of really studying this data and kind of going, right, let's look at who's matched with who from the speed dating. I'm trying to understand why they picked that person. And, and I just read every single book there was on dating and relationship. There are lots. And then what really was the penny drop moment for me was when I saw a show called The Millionaire Matchmaker with Patty Stanger.
Yeah, that's a good show.
And I was like, oh, this is a profession. And I was like Googling matchmaker. This is actually a thing. And I just got so excited by it and just obsessed. So yeah, I kind of just started charging very low from the start, just so that I could get experience matching people.
Yeah.
And it was literally the first, I think I actually found some notes the other night when I was clearing out my loft for my first client. He was like this guy who was like an inventor and he was like really quirky. And I didn't end up successfully matching him. But the next person that I introduced, they actually got engaged after 6 months.
Wow, that's really fast.
Yeah. And that's when I kind of thought, oh, maybe I do know what I'm doing.
Yeah. That's really cool. Was that like such a big moment? I haven't had an engagement from the podcast yet. I'm waiting.
Yeah,
it felt really surreal.
Yeah, but you know what was funny was the guy that I set her up with was actually working in the office that I was temping in.
Okay.
So I still like doing a bit of temping, before I completely was able to have this as a income full time. And I remember so vividly, always sticks in my mind, he came back from his lunch break. He'd met her for a picnic at lunch. It was in the summer. Aww. And honestly, he was practically skipping out of that lift when he came in, and I saw him and I sat there and I was like, wow, this is incredible. Just to see that reaction of just the smile on his face. He couldn't wipe the smile of his face all day in the office. And I was just like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah, that's really nice. That's amazing. So tell me about your client base. Who do you recommend matchmaking for?
Yeah, I mean, matchmaking is really for anyone who's intentional about dating and wants to, find someone who they can form a partnership with. Yeah. Because for me, it's not about getting a boyfriend, girlfriend, or it's partnership, and I feel like for someone who is at that stage in their life where they feel they are very secure within themselves in regards to their career is established, they've got a good lifestyle, and they really just want someone to share it with at this point, and to continue to grow and continue to develop. And, most people that come to me are either looking to find someone with whom they can start a family, or they've come out the other side where they're maybe divorced and they're looking for that companionship now, with someone to kind of, I've got a few clients who maybe they're almost getting to that empty nest part where their children are going to university. Okay. Maybe they got married when they were 20 and now they're like 40, early 40s, and they've got this time and they're in a good financial position. But it's interesting how the demographic of who's coming to me now is getting younger. So
that's really interesting.
Yeah, my youngest client now is 24.
Wow.
And
they're ready.
Totally. So, and I used to turn away people that young before because I'd be like, you don't need to come to a matchmaker, just go out and date and have fun. But I see now that these dating apps are really quite harmful to a lot of people's mental health as well. It really could knock your confidence. Yeah. I feel there's that feeling of being quite exposed on there. I hear some of the stories of, some of the very unwelcome messages that, particularly as a woman, you may receive. Yeah. And I get that, we should be having strong boundaries with energetically what we're allowing to have kind of access to us as well. And I feel like actually if I was a 25-year-old woman and I had the money to work with a matchmaker, and it meant that I didn't have to be exposed
trawl through
to
that trauma.
I don't know. I feel the apps do have a purpose still, but I think that everyone, no matter what age they are, is getting quite frustrated with it, particularly if you're intentional about meeting someone for long term.
Yeah, I was saying earlier, I'm back on them, and I've just noticed such a shift in people's energy. People are just not messaging. They don't really want to be on there. I'm not even sure why people match half the time.
Yeah.
Because they don't even strike up conversation, and you're like, what is the point in this?
That's it. And it's not just us women, you know, that I'm talking about heterosexual relationships here. I think it's not just women that are frustrated, it's men too, because the statistics show that only about 10% of men on the apps are actually getting replied to.
Yeah, I heard that. The pool is so small for the ones that actually are engaged with other women. Yeah.
So you can see why they just think, why bother?
Yeah.
You know, because they're putting that effort in and they don't even get a text back or a message back.
Yeah.
You know?
I can see it. I just think everyone's really fatigued with them.
Yeah.
I think if you're really intentional about something, they'd say about anything, right? Get a coach, invest in it. And that's exactly what you do with a matchmaker.
Yeah, exactly that. And I feel like the thing is, what's nice is you can see someone for what limited information they might provide on their online profile. But when you're working with a matchmaker, you know, we are really going quite in depth to really understand everything from a person's background to their interests, to their values, to their intentions, to their personality types. We do all these sort of different personality tests and things. Yeah, you know, there's context to it. So I feel like on the apps, you have to make a very quick decision. You go yes or no. You say no, that's it. You've missed a chance, right?
Yeah.
Client might come back to me and go, not sure. But then I can convince her or him why to meet this person and why I'm making this introduction.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more that I know behind it than what perhaps they can just see from looking at that photo and profile.
Yeah, on their bio.
Yeah.
Exactly. They just see like a summary and then they're like, oh, I don't know about that thing. And you're like, no.
Yeah.
Give it a go. Yeah.
And it's kind of sad in a way, isn't it? That we are literally swiping past people when actually if there was someone there, just give you a bit more context and go, no, wait, give them a chance because you've got so much in common in terms of this and that. And it might just, you know, persuade you.
Yeah.
And I think there's an element of that with the matchmaking. You know, I need to be highly persuasive.
Yeah. Be like, trust me, please go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's difficult. What is your success rate in the matching? And do you have a favourite story? A happy story for us all.
You know, maths is not my strong point, but I think that like I sort of calculate over the years, you know, let's say in a year, I might work with 30, 40 people. So it's not going to be like hundreds.
It's not hundreds,
you know, and out of those 30, 40 people, I would say 80% of those have got into a relationship through the process.
Good.
And 20% have fallen off because a lot of the time it's because they're not willing to take the guidance and really they're not actually ready. And it's important for me to assess when I'm taking on someone as a client, how ready they are.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like when you're dating, you're looking for the red flags. I'm also looking for red flags when it comes to working with someone as a client. Yeah. I can now spot, you know, at the beginning, I just wanted to help everybody.
Yeah.
You know, so I would take a chance on people. Now I'm very quick to say, I don't feel I'm the right matchmaker for you. And I would rather say no to that money that day and know that tomorrow someone more aligned with my style of matchmaking is going to come through. So yeah, my lesson over the years has been to also be very selective with who I work with, because when you have someone who, say, for example, says to you at the start, oh, I'm open, it's like, that's a red flag. I don't want you to just be, I'm open, because what happens is when we get into the process, you're going to keep saying no.
Yeah.
You know,
because you don't know what they want.
Right, exactly. So at least if you're saying to me, these are my deal breakers, like, I can't date a heavy smoker.
No, that would be one of mine. Yeah.
Right.
That's the first one I thought of.
You know, so if I know that, great. I'm not going to waste my time speaking to someone who's a heavy smoker because I'm interviewing these people. This is time intensive, energy intensive. You need to get clear on what is completely a non-negotiable for you. I don't like people to be too prescriptive in what they're asking for, because again, it doesn't allow me to make what I refer to as like more of an intuitive match.
Okay.
Because I'm very highly intuitive and I like that to be very much my guide when I'm making these introductions. But at least I know there are certain things, like someone that perhaps really values the concept of marriage. Or if you believe in God, then I'm not going to match you with an atheist.
Yeah.
You know, so I think there's certain things, but yeah, the people who don't end up getting matched are the people that maybe are too prescriptive, or also just not clear on what they're looking for.
Interesting. Because I was going to ask about that, because obviously the only things I know about matchmaking are from the Netflix shows, and they all do say, but only expect to get like 60% or whatever it is. Yes. Which I can imagine you having similar conversations with your clients, being like, look, I can't find you if someone who ticks like every single box.
Yeah. I think as well, it's about, I don't say, you know, only 60%, but I do say, you know, of course, I'm not going to accept a list of like 20 things, right? That's like non-negotiable. So it's got to be narrowing it down.
Yeah, to like what's really important.
Yeah, exactly that. And, you know, for me, it comes back to values. It really is about that, because if a woman says to me, you know, I'd only date a guy who's earning 6 figures and 6 foot and all of these things, you know, you hear about. I mean, if she's 5'4" and she's demanding a 6 foot guy, I'm just going to challenge that.
Yeah.
You know, fine, you like tall, but I'm sorry, but there are tall women that actually need this 6 foot guy. So you're going to have to make do with a 5'9" guy.
You got to leave them for the tall women. It's not fair.
Yeah, exactly.
5'9's fine. Like it's
oh, but I like to wear heels. Yeah, okay, whatever. You know, even in the heels, he's still taller than you.
Yeah. So silly. Oh yeah, I can imagine you get all sorts. So you have to sit there politely and be like, well.
Well, honestly, I've heard it all. Like even yesterday, a woman called me up, bless her. She was 58 and she said, you know, I'm asking her the questions. She says, I'm not looking to have any more children. And I just had to come back and say, what man is looking to a 58-year-old woman wanting to have a child with you? Like, it's just not, like, that doesn't even need saying.
Biologically, that's insane.
I was just like, I thought I'd heard it all, but today you've added to the list of things that I've heard. It's just out there. It's out there.
Yeah, that was an assumption we already had.
Goes without saying. Yeah.
Oh, that's really funny. I can imagine it's quite entertaining in that respect.
Oh, honestly, yeah. Some of the things I've heard over the years, I'm definitely, I need to write some kind of book. But it's going to be very comical. My book's not going to be, you know, this very serious, like telling you how to find love. It's just going to be a book of comedy.
Yeah. I think it's really good to laugh about dating though, because otherwise you can get so bogged down in how kind of depressing, and
you've got to laugh at yourself as well sometimes. You know, you really have. I think you've got to.
And the situations you've been put in. Sounds hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go through the process. So if someone's interested in matchmaking, it's definitely something I've thought about. I think it's a topic, like you said, that younger people are thinking about. Yeah. People have a bit more financial control and they're like, I want to just figure this out with some help.
Yeah.
So what is the typical process for finding and introducing matches?
So my process is pretty much, you know, it starts with a call. I'm back on Zoom. I took a break from Zoom because I was exhausted from Zooming during COVID. But I'm back on there because, again, it's all being well. I'll sit there and have a chat. And then it's like, yeah, okay, you know, do you think you can help me? Well, I have no idea what you look like. And fair enough, you do the blind dates and stuff. But for me, I do need to know at least what they look like so I can kind of see who I could picture for them, you know.
Yeah.
So I do the Zoom first. And then after the Zoom, you know, once I've really got an understanding, that's like a half an hour call, got an understanding of them. I'm really just, you know, I don't really sit there with a kind of a list of questions interview. For me, it's very much like a very informal discussion to start with, just so I can see if we vibe as well. You know, it's kind of like I'm on a date with them, you know, just to see how the conversation flows naturally, what comes up. And on the back of that, if I feel that this is someone I might be able to help, then I will invite them for a face-to-face meeting at the local members club that we're just right next to. Just not going to give them a plug, although they're not accepting any more people anyway.
Can't really help them out.
So they'll come down. We'll have a coffee or a cocktail, depending what time of the day it is. Maybe we'll have a cocktail, and then really get more of a feel from them and really kind of dig that bit deeper. And then on the back of that, if I feel met them in person, you know, see how they present, because again on Zoom I can't see how they present, it's just a talking head. I need to see how they walk into a room,
and
like
the mannerisms,
how they greet
really
the waiter and all of that, you know. So once I've had a sense of that, I can then decide whether I feel I can offer them a client membership, because there's two memberships. One is what I refer to as like network membership.
Okay.
So basically, because I only work with like 30, 40 clients in a year, the clients are not always going to be matched for each other. We're always going to have more women as clients as well. Every matchmaker in the country has more women.
Every dating problem.
So we got to hunt for the men. So I'm always hunting for men. That's why we like animal print, you know? We've got that kind of,
Hunting for men in the wild. Honestly, I get my men from crazy places.
We should go out hunting together one night.
Yeah.
We totally should. I need to have a bigger network, bigger pool of men to mainly to pick for them. So so there's an opportunity to be in the sort of network, which means that, you know, if they are a match for a client, I can give them a call. If they're interested in meeting my client, I can then go to the client and say, you know, this is who I found and interviewed. They are interested in your profile. They'd like to take you out on a date, and then, you know, I make the match. But going back, so offer them the membership. There's still some more forms and things to fill in, the personality test. I work with Myers-Briggs personality test as well, because that's really accurate.
It's very
actually
extensive as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, it's not like you'd literally, I don't match like personality type to personality type, but it's more insightful, right?
Yeah.
To understand like how they're wired. Another really interesting test that I look at as well, it was created by a lady called Helen Fisher.
Okay.
And it's called the Anatomy of Love. And it suggests,
I don't know this one.
So she actually, I believe she formulated it for eHarmony back in the day. When eHarmony was like very popular.
Yeah, the newest
you know,
thing.
before all the apps. Yeah, exactly. And you'd have to spend about 5 days filling in the profile. But it's also looking at couples that have been together for more than like 15 years and that are still together. And it's like looking at whether they would still, obviously that's a compatible partner if they're happy in that relationship after 15 years. And what's so interesting is it's looking at basically the neurotransmitters in our brain and what sort of chemical is predominant in our brain. This is where you get really scientific with it.
That's really interesting.
So you've got 4 personality types, which is the builders and directors, explorers and negotiators.
Okay.
Now, negotiators are typically predominantly driven by estrogen, which is usually referred to as more of the female hormone. Of course, both men and women have this, right? Negotiators, I'll say, are very empathetic people. Yeah. They're usually quite
feeling driven.
We're probably we are. I think I am. I think you are too, probably. Yeah, I'm deciding you are because of what you're doing, right? You're a people person. You're about, you want to relate to people and you build connection. Yeah. So that's like negotiator. Negotiators go well with directors. Okay. Yeah. Because directors want a meeting of minds, but they actually lack that. So directors are testosterone. So
this is all making sense.
Right. So very masculine men are going to have a lot of testosterone. Yeah. And a lot of women with the estrogen, we want a man with a lot of testosterone. Yeah. We want that. Usually it's like, you know, you're more feminine energy. You want that masculine energy. Yeah. So directors and negotiators make very good matches. Okay. Those two together, you know. A director man is often not going to be looking for a director woman. Okay. Yeah, because she's going to carry a lot of testosterone. So that's not what he's attracted to. Although a lot of director women really want a director guy. Yeah.
To match their like... Is it more than like leaders? Like I'm thinking like
finance guys, it's kind of, you know, directors of companies.
Not super emotional, but more
analytical.
Yeah, blunt.
Yeah. Okay. Very kind of straight, very, you know, I think it's left-brained. Yeah, because I'm right-brained, more creative. So left, And then you have builders and they are more serotonin. So this is like the mood. Well, it could be happy, sad, calm. But they really are about community. I mean, even the Queen would be considered, the late Queen, should I say, would be considered a builder. So it's all about stability. It's all about community as well, but very much following the rules.
Okay.
Yeah. And very much stable and all of this. So that's all about, you know, keeping your mood kind of an even keel in a way, you know, serotonin. So builders go with other builders very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
They can all be stable together.
Yeah.
Not rock the boat.
Exactly. And then you've got explorers, which are dopamine.
Okay.
They're looking for a playmate. They're looking for someone to go travel the world and explore.
They want
and
all
go.
The like highs and lows.
Yeah, but they take risks and they want that feeling of like adventure, excitement all the time.
Yeah.
They look for that, you know. So that's actually really key in understanding.
Incompatible with the builders.
Yeah, exactly. Who just like, oh gosh, this feels too risky. It's not a good idea. Exactly that. So yeah, that's actually very insightful. And actually, I don't know any other matchmaker that kind of looks at that in the way that I do. So we're looking at that, and then, you know, we obviously write a bio up and all of this as well. We have photo shoots that we include in our membership. So, you know, they'll go to a studio, get ready, and, you know, help be styled and all of this.
Oh, I love
styling.
that. I might join just for that.
Yeah, no, it's quite an experience. Yeah. So
and then that goes on their bio almost.
Yeah, yeah. And they can use it obviously for a lot of them end up sticking it on their Instagram after. But
That's
yeah, it's nice. So yeah, after that, it's a process. So obviously there are people waiting to be matched to them in the database, but I've got to like start interviewing specifically to their profiles. So I usually say within a month of their profile being complete, they'll be getting on their first match. And what's nice is we don't kind of just pass on your number, so you start texting for 3 weeks and never meet.
Yeah.
We're like, if you both say you want to meet, then we get your availability and we just get you on the day.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you do that actual setup.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
do you pick the location, or do you ask like what they want?
Yeah, so usually I get the guy to pick the dates.
Okay.
You know, because I feel like it's nice in a way that, you know, if you end up together, it's nice when you go, oh, we had our first date here.
And
it
you
meant
chose it.
something if he actually chose it.
I agree.
Rather than we've just got this list of like, you know, this is where you're having your date. It's a bit too...
I agree. I think it's nice to let them choose.
Especially if it's a place that he is comfortable in.
It's true.
You know, where he can feel he can really welcome you there, and he knows the staff. I always recommend that to guys, like go to a place that you've been to before. Yeah. Rather than it's brand new, you don't know the environment, you're already nervous, and then you go there and you're shuffling around and the worst is when they decide to ask you to meet at a train station. I'm like, what are you doing?
I had that
Seriously.
recently. It was awful. It was so bad.
I lost a match for my client, right? I didn't actually tell her this because I was actually quite embarrassed for him to even tell her this is why the match didn't happen. But I literally asked him, I was like, right, okay, great. You want to meet? Can you pick a place? Yeah. And he was like, let's meet at Green Park Station. And I was like, well, first of all, there's more than one exit from Green Park Station. It's a busy station.
That's typically
Hyde Park
really
is just
difficult.
there. If there's an event on at Hyde Park, like it's the festival in there. And I said, can you just pick a place and like, you know, it doesn't have to be dinner, doesn't have to be a drink, like even be a coffee, just a nice little coffee shop.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to do that. I feel like you're asking too much of me. I've been on loads of dates. I'm not going to invest my time and energy planning a date. We're just going to meet at the station and walk around and see if we can find a coffee shop. That's as much as I'm prepared to do.
Wow.
And I just said, yeah, you know, you're absolutely right. You're not right for our process, because if you really cannot make the effort to pick a place for a woman to come and sit down,
a location,
then you are not right for us. Simple as, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny how during the vetting process, you can really get a sense of like, who's really going to be wasting your time, and we just take them off the books, you know, because if a guy can't even meet that basic standard to find a coffee shop to sit down and make sure she has a seat, like,
it's crazy. I've actually done it, and I've got quite a bit of kickback from friends that think it's a bit unreasonable, but it really works for me. So I'm now dating for a first date. I'm not doing anything. I'm in my feminine energy.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm literally, you pick the place, you pick the time, you tell me when I'm going. And if you don't do those things, I'm not going.
Make you right.
Yeah.
I'll make you right.
It's working so well. These men are showing up, they're booking places. I've not had any issues with it. And if they don't, I just don't go.
If the other women out there don't want to raise the bar, then the bar is going to stay
on the
low.
Floor. Yeah, on the floor. It's
in
hell currently.
It is, you know. So that's what I'm saying. It's the reason why they're not stepping up is because they feel they don't need to.
Them.
They're just like, oh yeah, okay, we'll meet outside the station. Oh, we'll walk about in the freezing cold in the rain. Yeah, no worries. My time isn't that valuable. Nah, mate, sorry.
Yeah.
You need to
I hear so
step
many
your game
stories
up.
of women that plan like these amazing dates, and then the guy doesn't even come, show up, cancels, and it's like, I'm just not
Women,
doing it.
do not be planning any dates for guys, please. At least not the first one. Like if you've been on 3 dates and then it's like, oh, you know what? It'd be nice to plan something for you now. lovely.
Yeah.
But the first date,
First one, exactly.
sit back, relax, see what he's made of.
That's the thing. I think actions just say everything, don't they?
Yeah,
It's so
absolutely.
much more powerful than words.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to suggest, like you said, date 2, date 3, I've like given options. I've said what I'd like to do, not being difficult. But the first one, I just want to see what 100%. You do. And a lot ask, so like, what kind of date would you like? And I always say like, just drinks is fine. But they're still then picking the time and place. And that's like the bare minimum.
Yeah. And I like it when a guy actually asks, you know, where do you work? Where do you live? Let me try and find a place that is a convenient location for you. The guys that want you to come to their doorstep, that's a red flag.
Don't do it.
It is.
Don't do it. No, this is great. I feel very validated that I'm doing the right thing. Honestly, I got so many people being like, "That's so entitled of you," and I was like, "I don't think it is," because that's the kind of partner I want.
Having standards, honey.
I want someone to show up. I don't think it's that hard. Like you said, to pick a place. Like how hard is that? They can't do that. We're not going to go very far.
No, it's not. No, it's really not asking a lot.
Because you're right. I think I am looking for that director style of person, and that's something that I'd hope naturally they'd want to do. They'd want to take control. So if you're not showing me that, then you're clearly one of the other types.
It's got too much estrogen.
Yeah. Exactly. Perfect. Oh. Wow, what a great day for me. We kind of actually covered this, so I feel like maybe we don't need to ask it. This is a question from one of the Instagram audience. They said, what are the top 3 things you look for when deciding if people are compatible?
Yeah, I feel like we've covered that in the sense of, you know, I think
the tests and things.
Yes, exactly. But, you know, I think it ultimately comes down to intentions. They're looking for something long term. They've got the right values. Their values are aligned. And there's an element of that they're physically going to be attracted to each other as well, you know. And I feel like it's interesting because with the physical thing, it's so hard to define because beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But I do have a thing where I have got quite a knack of, I can look at 2 people and just see they look good together. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You just literally look and you just go, yeah, you 2 actually suit. Yeah. You know, I love it when, like on Married at First Sight, you know, when they do the pairings.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like locking this in and they've got the 2 pictures and they're side by side. Do you know? And I'm like that. I do that. Yeah. I literally do. I'll get the 2 pictures and I go, yeah, these look good together. I can see this working. Yeah, you know, nice. Yeah. There's an element of that.
Yeah, interesting. But when they do it on that show, sometimes I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, you're like, like what made you come to that decision? So yeah, that's really it. I think
that was a question of coming from like, if I'm trying to do this myself, what should I look for? Which still covers the 3 bases. Of values, morals.
That's it. They're the 3 boxes you want to tick. Are you looking for something long term? You know, what would you say are your core values? Yeah. And do you find me attractive? Yeah. Do you fancy me or not? Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I think there's an element of like attraction can grow, but there still needs to be that initial something there. There's definitely people that you meet. Everyone has it where you're like, I just don't find you attractive and I'm probably never going to. But sometimes you come away from your date and you're like, actually, it improved.
I will say something slightly controversial in that I feel like men tend to have more of a physical type. So like, for example, for guys kind of, he's got a thing about, he loves curly hair. Yeah, okay. You know, or he likes boobs. He's not going to end up with a flat-chested woman with short, straight hair. Yeah, probably not, you know. Whereas a woman, I would say, attraction can grow from things like, if you're attracted to a director personality type, that could come in a variety of different looks, but there's just something about the way that he makes you feel when you're in his presence that makes you. But again, you know, I think with women, it's more like the build is the thing that women look for. So like, if a woman is like, I'm just generally not attracted to very slender guys, then she's probably not going to feel that attraction. But if he's got, say, the right build, then the face can come in all different. It could have brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes, whatever. Yeah. Blonde, brown hair. As I say, like tall, every woman likes tall. But, you know, we're not going to make that a thing, as we said, because you're just not giving yourself a chance. But yeah, those sort of things, like, you know, I think that they're the
builders, you're right. That's really interesting because I know there's some women that actually really like slender guys. Yeah. And that's all they go for. Like, it's really interesting. Yeah. I met a couple of friends recently. I met them at a singles event. They said that they love going on this app called Double. I've not heard of it before. Right. You go on double dates, but you both have to swipe the other friend. Interesting. And then they put you all in a group chat, the 4 of you, and then you go on a date. But she said exactly that. The reason that they work so well is they don't go for the similar body type at all, so they never date the same people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because one like really like burly big men and the other like really small skinny
Yeah.
ones. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
It's
perfect.
interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Really interesting.
Yeah.
But that was the only factor they said that they differed on. So
It was a
clearly
build.
it's true,
Yeah. No, something to be said about that, definitely.
Yeah. So I thought, oh, I need to find like another friend for me that doesn't like the
Same
opposite
build
type.
as what you like. Yeah. Oh, you'd be fighting
And
for
then
the
you'll
same
never
man.
compete. Yeah. So good. I mean, we kind of touched on this, but it's an interesting question that someone asked. Can you accommodate specific preferences or requirements in a match? Like, what is the most specific request you've had?
I get more specific when it comes to, I've matched quite a lot within the Indian community as well.
Okay.
So with that, there are quite a lot of, cultural factors within that. So, having the same faith kind of comes up a lot more, even though they may not be practicing. It comes down to like, if you've seen a big Indian wedding, like, the way that the customs and all of that they have. And also they're quite sort of specific about their diet as well.
Oh, okay.
So I do have quite a lot of Indian clients who may be vegetarian, and for them that is very much a lifestyle thing. It's not like just became a vegetarian later in life, like they have never eaten meat in their life.
Right.
So they would only want to be matched with someone who also has grown up vegetarian.
They wouldn't want it in the
and
house.
won't have meat in the house. Yeah. So that's kind of like the more specifics. I've had a couple of vegan clients over the years as well. It is tough. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it does. Yeah. So I'd say more so that nothing else outrageous, because as I said, I wouldn't accept someone as a client if I felt that they were being so specific that it almost sometimes it's bordered on like a fetish.
True.
When I feel someone is kind of wanting to use me as a way to introduce them through someone where it's like very much fetishized, I'm like, no, that's not really for me. I'm not going to work with
like
that.
Skin color maybe or something like that?
Yeah, like I have had a few of those where, I mean, like the other day, this
Only
guy
one ethnicity,
guy sent me pictures of these women who just had the most unrealistic proportions of buttocks I've ever seen in my life. And I got these pictures for it and I thought, oh my gosh, like, this is where I've tuned out now. I just said to him, look, these are BBLs, silly. First of all. I don't have women with BBLs in my books. Yeah. Like these Brazilian butt lifts.
Yeah.
I mean, ridiculous.
Yeah,
like,
overdone.
If I saw someone walking along the street like that, like you would literally be like, this is a freak of nature. Like
he needs to move to Miami.
Yeah, exactly. So plus he's in he's not even here. He's in Ireland, and he wanted to come over here and meet
really
women
the
in London
clientele.
with these butts, and I was just like, no, it's not happening.
Well, so he was going to fly over if you found him someone.
Of course, it'd be
with
the
his
first
big
flight
bum.
if I found someone that looked like the picture that he sent. I mean, honestly, I said there's certain sites for that. I said, but not mine, not my group, not my agency.
That is interesting. I feel like there must be some communities that he could have tapped into rather than coming to a matchmaker.
Well, this is it. Again, though, he's tried the sites, even these sites that are geared towards men that are into certain things.
Yeah,
and the
not
women
working.
don't respond there either. So there's no hope. Oh,
that
dear.
is really funny. That
When he said to me he likes voluptuous, I thought, that's great, that's fine.
yeah.
Voluptuous.
We just think curvy. Yeah, that's
curvy. But when he
fine.
sent me like an 18-inch waist with a 60-inch hips, I was just like, no, not today.
This is so unrealistic. Oh, that's
dear.
really funny. So yeah, this is an interesting question. I think you're happy to share, but let me know if not. What is the cost structure of your matchmaking process?
Yeah, so I mean, the way I work now is actually I say to people, look, I'm going to work with you for up to a year.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, we might get you matched in month 1, but it could take up to a year. And I used to put a lot of time pressure on myself and be like, 3 months, 6 months. But it doesn't give everyone the best chance, because when you think about it, you go on the apps, most people have been on the apps for years.
Yeah.
So if someone could find you someone within the year, that would be great.
I think that's quick, yeah.
Right. But I think that the trouble is when people were coming to me or still, come to me, it's sometimes they see it as this is the last chance. I've tried everything else.
Right.
This has got to work. And it's almost like this has got to work now. And I have to kind of set those expectations with people and say, even though I've got this great network, it still could take time because I've still got this is a process, and the matchmakers that I really admire, like the ones that are in America and the way they work, they don't rush.
Yeah.
You know, they will literally make sure when they've done all these tests and they've done everything, by the time that person is being presented to their client, they're coming in like, this is 90% going to work.
Yeah.
And
they're really confident in the choice. Yeah.
And that's it. I would rather be doing that than just going to people, we're a dating agency and we've got to be getting you out on dates all the time. Because you can do that yourself on the apps. Why are you coming to a matchmaker if you just want to get dates? Like, you can get dates.
Here for the quality, yeah.
You know? So it's like, if you're really coming to matchmaking now, you've got to be willing to be patient for that right match to be presented to you. And on average, you know, people are kind of getting out on a prospect, you know, once a month. But sometimes I might not have that person for you for a couple of months, and you've got to wait, and you've got to be willing to trust the process.
Yeah.
That maybe, you know, there's a little bit of extra coaching support that you can have in that time. Now we started doing the events, like you can come along to the events. I can see you interact with people in those environments and help you to mingle, and even help you with the apps if you're on the apps, and, you know, help you with your messaging and all of that. So all that support is there. There's a lot of support there. You know, like you say, you get the photo shoot, you get the personal styling, you get the coaching, you get the introductions, the events. So all of that is a lot of value. You know, now my fee starts at around 5K for the year.
For the year, okay.
Yeah.
That's not too bad.
It's really not, you know, it's really reasonable when you think some of the apps, I mean, now are even charging $1,000 a month for
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of the League. They charge an absolute fortune.
Exactly. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. I didn't want to say, but yeah, exactly that. So, and you know, the kind of people we've got on our books are the type of people that would be on those sites.
Yeah. The high net worth individuals.
Yeah.
I'm not very impressed with that app, to be honest. I've got it, but it's slow.
The thing is,
they want you to pay.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is though, if I were to do an app, I would want to do it actually more like the League, in the sense that there's not this unlimited amount of matches that you can collect.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Even though they haven't got that many matches, still people are interacting more on the forums than they are on the actual messaging, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the solution is for the
apps, but there's just not a lot of outcome.
No. And the apps are introducing matchmakers like myself, but when they're doing it, even the League, in fact, I mean, you're looking at
you're looking at
20K. Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah. So that's that.
So what about, do you pay to be on like the network?
No,
part?
that's actually free because there's no guarantee. Yeah.
Yeah, because you might not be paired with anyone.
Yeah, because there's a much bigger pool. But, you know,
and then
got to be in it to win it.
Events.
Still go to the events. Yeah, exactly. So I actually say to people sometimes, you know, start on the network, see if anything comes. But also don't base that on, oh, well, I haven't had any dates for the network, so that means there's no point me paying for the client membership. Because that's a passive approach. You're not being looked for. You're not getting the attention that the clients get. It's very different. But, you know, there's always a chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, there's been situations where just even recently a couple got married, and she was a free network member, and that was the first man she'd ever met through process. Me. Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, it's not to say it can't work. It's definitely, I get a lot of women messaging me actually saying, you know, can I be on your database? But as I say, I mainly get women as clients, so you know, they're probably not going to get a phone call too often. Yeah,
I think women just take dating a bit more seriously. I think they're the kind of people that will invest in it.
Yeah, the personal development industry is driven by women. Let's face it, women are the one buying all the books and the self-help and all of that. You know,
of it, listening to all the podcasts.
Yep. You know,
and we love you for it.
Yeah, we do.
But yeah, the men make our job challenging, to say the least.
Yeah, the men are always where we've got to convince them a little bit more.
That's honestly it. It's persuasion. I find the men just need so much more persuasion, even to come on the podcast, which is anonymous. You know, the name's not even there.
Yeah.
The amount of men I get, like, oh, I don't know, like I have to literally work on them for months, and then they come on, and they're like, oh, that wasn't so bad, and I'm like, exactly. Yeah. And now you're getting dates, and like, I told you.
That's it. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Honestly, I have to normally have like a personal connection somewhere to convince them to come on. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
Whereas women just DM me on their own accord, don't even know who I am, and I'm like, we'll say like, come on, I'd like to come on.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a message from a man going, oh, can I be on your matchmaking database for free, please? There's never.
I've had like a couple from the podcast, like men that have actually just DM me.
Yeah.
They normally have to come to like an event first. There's some connection somewhere or someone's told them they need to go on.
Right.
They always need some other influence. It's really interesting. Whereas women just do things on their own.
On their own back, yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's something I didn't notice about the genders until I started this. And I was like, it's so interesting though, when I tell men that I struggle with men, they're always really shocked. They think it would be flooded with men.
Ah, interesting.
So they don't even know their own
I know, well that's it. That's what men also get a bit worried coming to the events. They're worried what they call it's a sausage party.
Yeah. And it's the complete opposite.
No.
So funny. Crazy. Actually, speaking of challenges, how do you handle challenges or conflicts that may arise during the matchmaking process? So, for example, like one party's no longer interested in the other.
Yeah. I mean, it's fairly straightforward. Like, you know, we talk about the feedback loop that we get through the matches. And I think, you know, it's never that in-depth, the feedback at the early stages.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like no spark, you know,
no,
the
thanks,
usual cliches. But I mean, there's not, thankfully, it's not even wood, that's marble, but
Same.
is there wood? Okay, there is. Yeah. You know, I haven't had any major conflicts in all the time that I've been doing it. But I think, you know, for me, it's about any misunderstandings that might arise. And, you know, there could be a certain perception that is formed of someone, which could be not the correct understanding of that person. And I think that's when it's nice that you've got someone like me in the team that you can actually talk to.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to one, which was just the communication. A lot of time it's the communication.
Probably always, to be honest, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you know, that is the main complaint, actually, that in between meeting, there's not enough communication. That's the main thing we're having to remind people of, is just to keep that communication.
So one person wants to, you know, text daily, let's say, and then the other person just thinks, oh, I'll just catch up when we next meet. And I can imagine that. Yeah,
because obviously before the first date, we say not to have communication because we don't want it to fizzle out. We just want to get you to meet. But once you've had that first meet, then communicate.
You can catch up, in between.
Yeah, absolutely.
How does it work with the second date, actually? Do you still be involved throughout the whole process?
No, I just let them get on. Yeah. It's just to make sure they get to that first meet. That's my goal, you know, just to get to that first meet.
I see. And then, but then, so if they're not happy with the communication moving forward, they can still reach out to you and say, look.
Yeah. But food for thought, maybe I should do the first 3 dates just to make sure that they don't send, you know, like, because that's the trouble. If they meet the first time and then they don't meet again for another 2 weeks, it's like you're starting again. You need to like see each other. And I would like say to the guys, look, ask her out even in the next few days again. Yeah. You know, just sort of strike while the iron's hot, because
it really works.
It really does.
I had that recently. It was really attractive as well. So it's a top tip if anyone wants to copy it. I've never had this before. So we're meeting on the Wednesday. And before we even met, he said, look, what are you doing at the weekend? If it goes well, I want to take you out again. And I was like, wow. And it was...
I like your style.
Yeah, it was good. I was like, that's really impressive. And we did go out again because I had a great time. And then also I was intrigued at what we were going to do on Saturday.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's locked it in 2 dates. Well, that's smart.
And you just think like, that's exactly it. Just such a power move of this goes well, I want to pursue you.
Yeah, that's bold. Yeah, I like that.
Direct to energy it was.
And look, who doesn't like that bold? You know, fortune favours the bold, as they say.
I thought it was really good. I don't know. I feel like maybe for some people they'd be worried it would be too much.
Some people might get put off by it. Yeah.
But then, I just thought I really liked it because it wasn't a definite. It was more just like, can you let me know your availability?
But you see, some people who have got this kind of avoidant attachment style. Again, I don't like to get too hung up on this attachment style theory either, because it is very changeable dependent on who you're with. But I feel like when someone's too keen, they don't like it. They'll say, oh, he's too keen. And that's a problem. If you're the type of person that gets put off by someone being too keen.
Yeah, they're meant to be keen in the
They're
first
supposed to be keen.
2 dates.
Like, you need to see that they're literally pursuing you. Yeah. If they're not pursuing you, then that should be your turn off, not someone being keen being a turn off.
I lean towards anxious, so for me it was great. I was like, oh, he's obsessed with me.
That's very reassuring. I love this.
It's so reassuring. Oh, you want to see me again? Sure.
Exactly. He could have slotted in another girl on that Saturday, but he's literally, you're the one that's on his mind for the whole week. That's great.
I think that was the thing. I was like, it just really shows you're intentional, and that's all I want. So in these early stages,
you want a man to be slightly obsessed with you. Come on.
Yeah.
Of course you do.
Exactly. Perfect. I can imagine your service being quite nice for someone who is feeling a bit of a slump with dating, and they have, like you said, you have you and your team to go to and say, like, look, I'm just struggling with this. I'm sure you get that quite a lot in this landscape of people just being really frustrated and
sometimes
unhappy.
they just want to have a chat. Yeah, exactly that. And I feel like that is the thing about my agency. We're very personable and very accessible to our clients. You know, there are some agencies who will be very aloof and they'll just like, you know, don't call us, we'll call you kind of thing. But I'm very much like, they're all on my WhatsApp, they'll voice note me, they'll, and I'm, you know, I get
nice.
back to them.
Love a voice note.
Do love a voice note, yeah.
Did they update you after the date with a little voice note? I'd love that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And, you know, sometimes we put the call in and, you know, sometimes they then say, oh, can I have a bit of coaching now that I've met someone I like? And yeah, there's a lot of support there.
So does that come with the package? It's all included.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, there's some coaches that charge more than what I charge just for the coaching.
Yes,
I know.
Even a therapy session is like £100 an hour. So
yeah, no, they get their money's worth. I like to believe they do. Yeah,
it's good. Yeah. Providing value is important, I think.
Yeah, I'm always looking at ways that I can provide more value. Like even with the photo shoot, like before there's an agency that do outdoor photo shoots only, so I was using them, and now I use my dad actually because he's a wedding photographer as well.
Oh, nice.
And then I was bringing him to the members club, getting changed there, then going out in the streets. But now I was like, actually, look at the weather, like even today. I want to have somewhere where it's comfortable all weathers.
Yeah.
So hiring out a studio so we can take some studio photos, get changed, get ready there, even have a makeup artist and all that come in.
Yeah, amazing.
So they can really have that full experience day for them. Is that's part of their journey coming into matchmaking. And I want them to feel special. I want them to feel that
it's like a start of a new process.
Yeah.
I think it kind of fits with someone's mindset of like, this is something I'm doing. I've done
Exactly,
it for myself.
exactly.
Like, I'm being intentional with this, so then my dating life should improve.
Exactly.
Because I don't know if you've seen this. I feel like it happens with me in the podcast, which is such a minor version of it. Once they come on the show and they think about what they want, they actually end up meeting someone organically much quicker because they think they've gone through that process of this is what I want, and then go out to the real world with that mindset.
That's it. I mean, even with the ones that join the free database, because they've had to answer all those questions, it's really made them think about things a lot more than they've thought about it before. And they've even said to me, like a lot of people have said, there's real value in that because I've never really got so clear on who I am, what I'm looking for. That in itself is actually a useful exercise.
Yeah.
A lot of it is mindset.
Yourself.
80% of it is actually mindset.
Just going in being like, I'm going to have a great date.
Yeah, but just like
later.
you know, and also just seeing like your bad habits or the cycle that you're in when it comes to dating, and just someone shining a light a little bit to it. Like, okay, you know, I even asked them about the last 3 people that they dated, and we really kind of look back at that and we try to understand the patterns and behaviors, and okay, this is how we're going to proceed, you know, on the basis of where you're coming from.
It's good. Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Good, I'm glad. Can you plug, like, if someone is interested, where's the best place to go?
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, you can find me on Instagram. I've got all the links to all my stuff on there.
Yeah, they'll be in the show notes under this episode as well.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah. But, yeah, the agency is Cupid in the City.
It's a good name.
Yeah.
Because you said you had someone from Ireland. Is it only London-based? Really?
I get international inquiries. Like right now, I'm looking for some people in the States as well.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it's international, but predominantly our database is London, but we can headhunt anywhere in the world.
Nice. So if I tell you I want someone in Sydney, you'll be like, okay.
Yeah. But Sydney's a long way off. Do you really want to go there?
Yeah.
Okay.
For a date, it'd be so
Yeah,
extreme.
for a date, definitely. I have set up a date, though, from a guy from Sydney, and he met her halfway. They met in the airport halfway.
No way.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
That's really impressive.
Yeah. I can't think
like
where it was now. I can't think where they met, but no, I remember that. You just reminded me. Yeah.
It's better than a station.
Yeah. At least in the airport, there's somewhere to sit down.
Yeah. I hope as a minimum he leaves picked where in the airport. Which cafe. That's so good.
Oh,
okay, thanks so much for coming on.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening. You can find Siobhan's social media handles and Single Sounds in the bio. I'll be sharing some fun clips of us on Instagram, and next week I'll be back with the usual structure and a single male of London. Thanks so much for listening and have a great week, guys. Bye.